Alright, evil does not exist. Now, the argument goes that if there is evil in the world, and if God is our creator, then that means God created that evil. If God created the evil, then that makes God evil. So, if Christians want God not to be evil, then they have to say that evil doesn't exist. This is something that modern Puritans and even socialists don't want. They want evil to exist because they want to go out there and fight it. And they want justification for a lot of their tyranny. But early Christians, like St. Augustine, said that evil doesn't exist. Now, is this just something to fight the atheists and the pagans on? Is this just some cute little theological and philosophical thing? Or does it work in the real world? Well, let's take a practical example. Let's say I take a knife, right, and I cut your heart with that knife. Well, if evil doesn't exist, there's nothing evil in me extending my arm to cut your heart, right? Now, let's say that I'm a doctor and I'm performing heart surgery. Well, I'm taking a knife, extending my arm, and cutting your heart. Or let's say that, I'm in my room by myself and I just saw a kung fu movie and I'm just like, and I do a thrust. And all of a sudden somebody comes around the corner and I accidentally thrust the knife into their heart. No, it's a complete accident. You didn't mean to. Or let's say there's a psychotic murderer on the loose and he's just like, it's just mowing down everybody. And you go up and you cut the person in the heart and kill him, right? Or let's just say you have just some evil guy, with a knife, just, cutting people's hearts out. In every instance, the action is the same. The action is one person taking a knife, extending their arm, and shoving the knife into somebody else's heart. So same action every time, but they're all different. In one, it's a doctor performing his job. In another, it was an accident, a tragedy. The kid, shoving the knife around. In another, it's a hero saving the day. He gets the bad guy. In the final one, you have the truly evil act of murder. So same act every time, but they're all different. What makes them different? What makes them different is that the evil act is inside us. It's inside the human heart. It's inside our souls. Now, St. Augustine and some of the early Christians would argue that evil is the absence of good. So hate is you rejecting love. You rejecting part of your existence. You're rejecting it. Dishonesty is the absence of honesty, and so on and so forth. So evil doesn't exist. And so you can talk about evil in the same way that you can talk about zero. You can say, hey, zero, but you can't point to something and say, hey, look, this thing right here is zero. You can talk about evil actions. The murder is an evil and an immoral act. But the evil is you rejecting your soul. You're rejecting virtue in your soul. And so good and evil fight it out in our souls. Now, the Puritans and the modern day liberals and socialists want evil to exist in the world because the Puritans want to condemn pleasure. The Puritans want to condemn alcohol and drugs. They want to condemn, contraception. They want to condemn physical things. And the liberals, they want to condemn guns. It's guns that kill people. It's not people who kill people. They want to condemn greed, as if greed is something they can fight with laws. The job of laws is not to force us to be moral. You can't fight greed. You can't fight selfishness with laws. And so the beautiful thing about the fact that evil doesn't exist, or just even this idea that good and evil battle it out in our souls, is that no one can judge you. I can't see what's inside your soul. I can't see what's inside your heart. I don't know you. Only you can see what's inside your soul. And even then, you might be in denial about your good or evil that's inside of you. You might not want to see yourself. But only you are capable of really looking inside yourself and seeing whether or not you are good or evil. And where no one is ever completely good or completely evil. But there's two issues here. First of all, what you can do is when you're, doing your meditations on your life, examining your life, you can see whether or not some other person is harmful to a virtuous life. And this isn't a moral judgment on this other person. This is just saying, you know what? I'm trying to live a virtuous life, and this other person is an impediment to my virtuous life. I don't know why he's an impediment, but he is. You take somebody, let's say it's a drunk father or something. He comes home, he beats his wife, beats his kids, this guy is an impediment to a virtuous life for these people. It might be that he was beat as a kid, and he didn't have, and his boss treats him like garbage, Let's say his wife might even be really passive aggressive towards him, and might really be a jerk to him too. And so he's never had a role model to show him to, hey, don't let people treat you like garbage, stand up for yourself, be a man, take care of your kid, He might have all the excuses in the world, and they don't excuse his immoral acts of beating his kids, but you don't know what's inside this person's heart. And actually, a great example of the fact that you can't judge people would be, a liberal, or just let's take a mother who loves her child. A mother who loves her child is harming her child if she coddles the child, if she nannies him too much. You're coddling the child or you're hurting the child because the child never learns how to face adversity. The child never learns how to live independently. He starts to have this human dependency that is just not healthy. And so the mother is harming the child through love, and that's what a lot of liberals do to poor people. They harm the poor, and they don't realize it. They really think that these welfare programs work, but, public schools don't work, people are poorer than ever, Social Security's, failed, it's broke. this love of the mother is harming her child, and she's it might be that she's a control freak. It might be that she's got immorality inside her soul, or it could be that she just it could be tragic and she just doesn't see that she's harming her child. So when you say that somebody's harming you, you're not judging them morally. You're not judging their souls. You're just simply saying, this action is immoral. This action is harmful to other people, to me, and to other people who are trying to live a virtuous life. A second issue would be marriage. Right now, when you get married, you combine with somebody, to become one. You become one, body, mind, and soul. And what that means is that you, on the soul part, is that you both enter into the same spiritual journey, and that you guys can talk with one another about your innermost souls, your innermost selves, and you can have that journey together. But even with your married partner, even then you cannot see inside his or her soul. You try to completely divulge your soul to your partner, but even then, even with yourself, you could be lying to yourself, or your spouse could be lying to you. So nobody can judge you. Nobody at all can judge you. So throw off all the worrying about what other people think about you, and only worry whether or not you're living a happy, virtuous life. That should be your focus, not, does somebody think that I'm a jerk, or does somebody think that I'm immoral? Because nobody knows you.